Chapter 1. When she opened her eyes, the last thing she expected to see was a ceiling draped with gold trim and intricate patterns. She blinked a few times, rubbed her eyes, and tried to make sense of the situation. This wasn't her bedroom. The walls were covered in deep crimson silk, and the furniture was antique? Old? Expensive? Wait, am I in a novel? She mumbled, sitting up and immediately regretting it as dizziness hit her like a truck. The moment the haze of confusion began to clear, the sound of footsteps echoed from the door. "Are you awake, my love?" Her heart skipped a beat. The voice was so familiar, too familiar. She knew this voice. She had read this story. She was in this story. She snapped her head toward the door just as it opened. And there, framed in the doorway, stood the male lead. Now, in the book, he was supposed to be handsome, tall, dark, and brooding. And he certainly had that down, with perfectly tousled black hair and dark, almost unnatural eyes. But what caught her off guard was how intense he looked. The sort of intensity that made her want to shrink back, not because he was scary, but because it felt as if he were staring into her soul. "Good morning, my love," he said, walking toward her with a smile that, while kind, also seemed to carry an unnerving amount of possessiveness. "Did you sleep well? I made sure you had the best sheets." She blinked at him, unable to speak for a moment. Was she dreaming? Maybe she had passed out and this was some sort of delusion. But no, this felt too real. The bed beneath her, the warmth of the room, even the smell of lavender in the air, it was all too vivid. Hello?" She finally managed to croak out, her voice cracking. "Why am I so nervous?" He smiled wider, and she swore she saw a hint of something, unhinged in his eyes. "I've been waiting for you to wake up," he said. "I was beginning to think you'd never rise again. You're the most precious thing in the world to me." The protagonist's mind raced. Was this the infamous Yandere ML she had read about in the book? She had to admit, he was certainly living up to the reputation. He reached out and cupped her face gently, leaning in with a smoldering gaze. "I could stare at you forever. You're mine. Forever." And just like that, the Yandere was already showing his true colors. In the book, he was a passionate lover, but now he was practically suffocating her with affection. Okay, that's nice. But she was trying to ignore the fluttering in her chest, which was, for some reason, not entirely unpleasant. "Could you maybe not call me mine so much? A little space might be nice." His eyes darkened just a shade, as if he didn't quite understand what she meant. "Space," he repeated slowly, as if the word itself was foreign to him. "My love, I can't bear to be away from you. You belong with me. I will protect you. No one will ever take you from me." "Oh boy," she muttered, sinking back into the pillow. This was going to be a lot more complicated than she had imagined. She had always wanted love, but she wasn't sure this was exactly what she had pictured. Her new life as the FL in this crazy ancient world was about to get a whole lot more interesting. Chapter 2. The days passed, and the protagonist quickly realized that being the female lead in a Yandere romance novel was far more exhausting than she had ever imagined. It wasn't that the ML was bad, no, he was more than attentive, almost to a fault. The real problem was how obsessive he was. Every gesture, every word, every glance carried the weight of someone who believed that he was the only one worthy of her affection. It was time for their first date. "Well," the ML said one morning as he strode into her room, "I've planned a perfect outing for us today. The best possible day to show you how much I adore you." She couldn't help but raise an eyebrow. Okay. What does that entail?" The ML grinned widely. "I've arranged for an intimate picnic in the royal gardens." He gestured to the window dramatically. "I've ensured the entire palace is cleared of any distractions. Just you and me, my love." She wasn't sure whether to be impressed or terrified. "So, no one else can be there?" "Not even anyone else at all." "No one," he said, his eyes flashing with that familiar intensity. "No distractions. No interruptions. Just you and me alone." Well, that certainly sounded like a recipe for disaster. When they reached the garden, she was taken aback by the sheer extravagance. There were flowers everywhere. The air smelled like a perfume shop exploded, and the picnic was more like a full-on banquet. There were golden plates piled high with every delicacy imaginable: cakes, fruits, and meat. All of it glimmering under the sunlight like some sort of royal feast. I think I'll need to pass on the roasted pheasant," she said hesitantly, eyeing the oversized platter. "I'm not really hungry." He looked at her as if she had just declared that she wanted to be left alone in the middle of a battlefield. "You must eat," he said firmly. "You need your strength to be with me forever." Okay, that was intense. She tried to stay cool, but this whole situation felt a little off. "I'll just have some fruit," she said with a smile. "That seems safe enough." The ML's eyes narrowed, and he picked up an apple with a flourish, holding it out to her. "I will feed you," he declared, like it was some grand, romantic gesture. Before she could protest, he was already holding the apple to her lips. "Eat it, my love. Eat it and become mine completely." She blinked in disbelief. Was this for real? In the end, she took a small bite, hoping that the world wouldn't implode from the sheer ridiculousness of the moment. When she finished it, he wiped the corner of her mouth with his thumb, his eyes filled with a mixture of adoration and something a little darker. "Perfect. You're perfect." She forced a smile. "Thanks. I think." The ML leaned in, his breath soft and warm against her cheek. "My love, you're so beautiful when you smile. I want to protect you. No one will ever take you from me." A chill ran down her spine, but she smiled through it. Sure, but maybe, can we talk about the guards?" The 24 of them standing behind that tree. He turned around and waved a hand dismissively. "Oh, those? They're just for your safety, my darling. Don't worry, they won't bother us." The protagonist facepalmed internally. "Safety, my foot. They're more like an army." As the date continued, she couldn't shake the feeling that no matter how many times she tried to steer the conversation to anything other than her perpetual imprisonment, the ML was too far gone in his obsessive devotion to her. By the time they headed back to her room, the sheer amount of affection and attention was starting to feel like an unrelenting storm. He leaned down to kiss her hand with all the sincerity of a man who thought that doing so would secure her affection forever. "If anyone even thinks of looking at you the wrong way, I'll have them executed," he whispered, eyes flickering with that Yandere passion. "Right," she muttered under her breath, already planning her escape for the next free moment she could find. A little bit of space wouldn't hurt, right? Chapter 3. It had been a week since the first date, and things had only escalated. The ML, Prince Shin, had declared his undying love for her every day, each time in more elaborate and, if possible, more bizarre ways. He showered her with gifts that were practically impossible to use: a diamond-encrusted comb, a golden spoon carved with her name. What was she even supposed to do with that? And insisted on accompanying her everywhere. He was a shadow, always hovering just a few steps behind her, watching her every move with unblinking intensity, and unfortunately for her, there was no escaping him. Not that she hadn't tried. Oh, she had. She'd once told him she wanted to go to the market alone, and he'd insisted on following her disguised as a commoner. The disguise was just his usual black cloak, with a wide-brimmed hat that made him look suspiciously like he was up to no good. The situation reached its peak one afternoon when she was simply walking through the palace garden, enjoying the warm sun and a rare moment of peace. She tried to enjoy her time in solitude, but when she heard footsteps approaching, she knew exactly who it was. "Ah, my love," came the voice she'd come to dread. "There you are. I've been searching for you." She turned to see Prince Shin standing there, his face lit up like a child on his birthday. "I was just taking a stroll," she said weakly, hoping she sounded casual enough. His eyes darkened again, and he stepped forward, taking her hand in his with a possessive grip that was just a tad too tight. "I know. I've been watching you," he said in a voice that made her feel both flattered and horrified. "I couldn't bear to let you out of my sight for too long. I need to protect you." She swallowed nervously. "From what?" His eyes sparkled, and he leaned in closer, lowering his voice. From them. Them? Who's them? She asked, genuinely confused. Were there assassins lurking around? Evil stepmothers. He looked over his shoulder dramatically, making sure no one else was around. The other men, he whispered, as if it were a deep secret. The ones who look at you with lustful eyes. I will not allow that. No one will ever touch you. She blinked at him. I'm just walking in the garden. Yes, he agreed, eyes gleaming, but you're too beautiful to be alone. Every man is a threat to you, my love. I'll make sure that no one dares come near you. Not even a fly. Okay, this was getting ridiculous. Prince Shin, I really don't think I need protection from flies. He tilted his head, processing her words with the utmost seriousness. You don't understand, do you? The world is full of dangers. I can't have you wandering around, unaware of all the people who would harm you for the sake of their own desires. The protagonist sighed. Prince Shin, I'm not that helpless. He smiled, a soft, sinister smile that made her stomach flip. You are to me. She resisted the urge to roll her eyes. Well, there goes any hope of going anywhere alone ever again. You can't go anywhere without me, he added, almost as an afterthought. You're too precious to be alone. The protagonist stared at him, trying to figure out how to navigate this escalating disaster. Was this it? Was she doomed to an eternity of this intense, over-the-top love? Sure, it had its charming moments, but if it kept up at this rate, she was going to lose her mind. Right, she said, trying to sound nonchalant. So, what's next on the agenda? Another private dinner? No, my love. Tonight, I have prepared a surprise for you, he said, a devious glint in his eye. It will be the most memorable night of your life. She looked at him warily. Oh, I'm sure it will be. Chapter 4. It was evening, and the atmosphere in the palace had taken on an almost eerie stillness. Prince Shin had promised her a surprise, and frankly, she wasn't sure whether to be excited or terrified. From what she had gathered so far, his surprises tended to be extravagant, sometimes too much so. She had already been gifted a bouquet the size of a small horse, and he had personally arranged her wardrobe, insisting that every outfit she wore had to be just right for his taste. He even suggested she wear a veil to the dinner, just in case other men happened to glance her way. The moment she entered the dining room, she froze. There were no candles, no soft music, no cozy tables set for two. Instead, the entire room was lit by what could only be described as a forest of candles, hundreds of them, scattered across the floor in the shape of a heart. It was beautiful, yes, but also so over the top, it was a little hard to breathe. The walls were lined with velvet drapes, and the scent of roses hung thick in the air. But what really took the cake was the center of the room, a giant stuffed bear. She blinked in confusion. It wasn't just any bear, though. It was the size of a small house, dressed in a royal cloak, with a crown on its head, and, for some reason, a bouquet of roses clutched in its fuzzy paws. She began, unsure whether she should laugh or cry. Prince Shin, what is this? The prince, standing beside her, looked pleased with himself. His hands clasped together in excitement. It's for you, my love. A grand gesture to show how much you mean to me. She glanced at the giant bear. A bear? He nodded enthusiastically. It's a symbol of my strength and protection. I will be like this bear, fierce and protective of you, while also being soft and comforting, just like this fluffy giant. She stared at the bear again. It had a slightly creepy look to it, with its wide, glassy eyes and stiff, awkward posture. I don't know what to say, she managed, her voice a mix of confusion and amusement. You don't have to say anything, my love, he whispered, taking her hand and guiding her to the dining table, which, of course, had an absurdly extravagant spread laid out. Just know that this is my promise to you. No one will ever hurt you, not while I'm around. As if on cue, the massive bear's eyes seemed to glimmer under the candlelight, and for a moment, it looked like it might move. She quickly averted her gaze, trying not to imagine what kind of horror show it might be if the bear actually came to life. Prince Shin sat her down and took the seat beside her, practically glowing with pride. I've ensured that everything is perfect. Nothing will ruin this evening. You are my everything." She gingerly picked up a fork and poked at her plate, wondering if there was any way she could get through this night without collapsing from secondhand embarrassment. So she ventured carefully, trying to break the intense silence. How was your day? Anything exciting?" He leaned forward, a dreamy expression crossing his face. "Oh, the usual. I only spent hours making sure your food was prepared just right. I also personally ensured that the guards around the garden know to stay far away when you walk there tomorrow. And of course, I personally instructed the staff to ensure your every need is met at all times." She took a slow sip of her wine, trying to keep a straight face. "I'm flattered." "Really?" He nodded, looking a little too pleased with himself. "I thought you would be." Suddenly, the room grew darker as a huge shadow loomed over the dinner table. She turned, wide-eyed, as the bear's gigantic form seemed to twitch. Her gaze snapped back to the prince. "You didn't." He nodded enthusiastically, completely unaware of her growing unease. "It's a live bear. For our date night. A token of my undying affection." "Wait," she looked at the bear, which was now slowly moving closer to her, its creepy glass eyes following her every move. "This is real. Of course. You deserve nothing less." He smiled, clearly proud of his efforts. The bear let out an almost inaudible growl, and the protagonist felt her heart race. She was pretty sure she had never been this terrified during a romantic evening in her entire life. "Prince Shin," she tried to remain calm, but the situation was getting increasingly bizarre. "Maybe we could, maybe skip the bear cuddles for tonight?" He turned to her, confused. "What do you mean?" "It's a sign of my love. Don't you want to be protected?" She couldn't help it anymore. A nervous laugh bubbled up in her throat. "I'm really starting to think I'm being smothered with love. I mean, I appreciate it, but this bear..." He leaned closer, wrapping his arms around her, and for a moment, the intensity in his eyes softened. "Don't worry, my love. Nothing will come between us. Not even a bear." She blinked, her heart racing. "I'm going to need a whole week of alone time after this," she muttered to herself, staring at the live bear just a little too closely. Chapter 5. The days after the bear incident were filled with tension. Prince Shin, ever the overzealous protector, had become even more relentless in his quest to show her just how much he cared. It was like living in a love bubble that she couldn't pop, no matter how hard she tried. Every room she entered, he was there. Every moment she tried to spend alone, he was there like a lovesick shadow. And the worst part? She couldn't exactly escape the palace. Even the simplest tasks, like going to the library or taking a walk, were greeted with a battalion of guards for her safety. It seemed there was always something threatening her, whether it was other men who were, apparently, always eyeing her or a sudden emergency that required her attention. Needless to say, her freedom was rapidly becoming a distant memory. It wasn't until one evening, while she was trying to sneak out to the palace gardens for a few minutes of solitude, that things took an unexpected turn. She was almost out the door when she heard it, the sound of hurried footsteps. "Where do you think you're going?" came a voice that made her heart skip a beat. She froze. Prince Shin was standing there, his usual cloak billowing dramatically behind him. He was smiling a little too brightly. "I thought we could spend some quality time together in the gardens. Just the two of us. No distractions. No one else." She sighed, rubbing her temples. "Prince Shin, I just want to, I don't know, breathe for a minute." His expression shifted into one of genuine concern. "You're not feeling well?" His eyes widened. "I knew it. You've been pushing yourself too hard. I must make sure you're well rested." She blinked, flabbergasted. "I'm fine. Just, please let me go for a walk. It's not like I'm running off to elope with someone." "You're not running off?" he asked, his eyes narrowing. "Good. Because if you were, I'd have to stop you." She stared at him, trying to figure out if this was a joke or if he was serious. "What are you even talking about?" But before she could answer her own question, a loud noise interrupted her thoughts, a crash from the hallway. Both of them turned their heads in unison, and for a moment it seemed like time itself had frozen. The noise was followed by frantic shouting. "What is that?" she asked, suddenly intrigued. Maybe it was a way out of her current predicament. Without a word, Prince Shin grabbed her arm, dragging her down the hallway. "Stay close. I won't let anything happen to you." The protagonist tried not to roll her eyes. "I'll be fine." "Really?" But her words fell on deaf ears as Prince Shin steered her into a corridor, where they stumbled upon a small crowd of servants gathered near a door. "What's going on?" the prince demanded, his voice commanding and full of authority. One of the servants, shaking in her boots, glanced up. Prince Shin. "There's a man in the garden. He's trying to kidnap the princess." The princess? She was not a princess. In fact, she was pretty sure she wasn't even close to being a royal, but who could blame the staff for getting things wrong? It happened all the time when you were suddenly thrust into the role of the female lead in a romance novel. That's absurd, Prince Shin declared. "No one touches what is mine." His grip on her arm tightened as he practically pulled her into the garden. They rushed outside, and to her surprise, there was a man in the garden, but he was just standing there, looking confused as he stared at the ground. "Who are you?" Prince Shin shouted, glaring at the stranger with a look that could freeze the air itself. The man blinked at the two of them. I'm just lost." "I was looking for the market." The protagonist couldn't help herself. "You're looking for the market in the royal gardens?" The man looked even more confused. "I'm sorry, Before he could finish, Prince Shin snapped his fingers, and 3 guards immediately stepped forward, their swords drawn. "This man is an intruder. Take him away." "Wait." "No," the protagonist said, stepping forward and blocking the guards. "He's not an intruder. He's just lost. Let him go." Prince Shin shot her a dangerous look. "You would defend a stranger over your safety?" "I wasn't going anywhere," she protested, trying to reason with him. "He's harmless. I've seen him around the palace." The prince looked like he was going to explode, but instead, he let out a deep sigh. "Fine. But next time, someone dares come near you, no more second chances." The man in the garden was quickly escorted out, leaving the protagonist standing there, utterly bewildered. "Well, that was dramatic," she muttered under her breath. Prince Shin stepped up beside her, still glaring at the now empty garden. "You must never forget that I will protect you. From anything. From anyone." She sighed, rubbing her temples again. "Yeah, I got that." And just like that, another chaotic chapter in her life as the female lead in a Yandere romance was written. Chapter 6. By this point, she had gotten used to the intensity of Prince Shin. His way of expressing love was like pouring a waterfall into a teacup, too much, all the time, and mostly uncalled for. But today, she decided to test something. Just a little harmless experiment. She wanted some peace and quiet. Just a nap. But the palace was swarming with maids, guards, and that one overly enthusiastic chef who insisted she needed 12 meals a day. And at the center of it all, like the overprotective sun in her royal solar system, was Shin. She did the only thing that made sense in a palace ruled by a Yandere male lead. She fainted, dramatically. Like an actress in an old-school drama. 1 minute, she was walking through the hallway, and the next, hand on forehead, a slight gasp, and down she went, very gently onto a silk rug. She even added a little flutter of her lashes for good measure. It took 3 seconds, 0.3 seconds before all hell broke loose. "My love." Shin's voice echoed through the marble halls like a war cry. She was scooped up like a sack of potatoes, if potatoes came with their own royal silk blankets. "Summon the imperial physician," he barked. "Summon 10 of them. And the best healer in the land." "No, bring me the elixir master from the southern mountains." She cracked one eye open. "It's not that serious, Shu. Don't speak," he whispered, eyes wide with worry. "You've already lost so much strength." "I knew it. I should have made you rest more. I should have fed you bird's nest soup for every meal. No one should eat that ever, she muttered under her breath. Within minutes, the room turned into a mini hospital. There were herbs boiling in a corner, incense burning in another, and a trembling old physician poking her pinky toe like it held the secrets of life and death. Your Highness, the physician began, terrified. I believe the princess just needs rest. Shin narrowed his eyes. Are you saying I overreacted? The physician looked like he wanted to faint now too. And no, Your Highness. Just suggesting a mild herbal tea, perhaps. Shin turned back to her, cradling her like a fragile vase. From now on, I'll carry you everywhere. She gasped. No, your legs are clearly too delicate for walking. Shin, I stubbed my toe. He shook his head solemnly. That's how it begins. She groaned. I miss chairs. And peace. And sanity. But as he tucked a blanket around her shoulders and brushed a strand of hair from her face, she couldn't help smiling just a little. Was this a ridiculous way to live? Yes. Was it also kind of sweet? Also yes. Chapter 7, she had made a decision. A bold one. She was going to escape the palace, not forever, just for a few hours of fresh air, unaccompanied by someone who looked ready to murder any male pigeon that landed near her. I just want to go to the village, buy snacks, maybe pet a dog, she muttered as she tied her hair up under a hood. Not commit treason. It was late afternoon. The guards were switching shifts. She tiptoed down the hallway, avoiding creaky tiles, thanks to the map of Palace Week spots she had secretly memorized. She slipped through the servants' entrance, heart pounding with victory. She had made it out. She was free for approximately 8 minutes, because the moment she stepped foot into the market square and smiled at a bread seller, she felt a chill down her spine, a tall, shadowy chill. Having fun, my love? A voice purred beside her ear. She shrieked and whirled around to find Prince Shin standing there, arms folded, wearing a black cloak like some sort of brooding villain-turned-boyfriend. How did you find me? He raised an eyebrow. Did you really think a few apples and alleyways could hide you from me? I was going to buy buns. I'll buy the whole stall, he said immediately. You want buns? You'll get buns in every flavor, every shape, heart-shaped, bunny-shaped Shin. Yes, dearest. This isn't normal. What's normal? He asked, leaning close. Is it normal to wake up every day wondering if the woman you love will vanish again into another world? Is it normal to follow her into town just in case a lamppost looks at her too boldly? She blinked. You think a lamppost, no one is trustworthy. He pulled her toward a nearby tea house before she could argue further. Since you're already out, let's call it a date. A date? Shin, I was running away. Yes, and now we're sharing jasmine tea and mooncakes. What a romantic turn of events. The tea shop owner gave them a confused look as Shin ordered everything on the menu. He then glared at the waiter like he'd slap the spoon out of his hand if he blinked too hard at her. As she sat, chewing on a red bean bun, she sighed. You're insane. He smiled. Only for you. And for the first time, she laughed. Not because he wasn't terrifying, he still very much was, but because maybe, just maybe, this brand of unhinged affection was exactly the kind of love she'd yearned for, even if it came with 20 mooncakes too many. Chapter 8, 1 week. 7 days. A full cycle of the sun. That was how long it had been since she landed in this ancient world, met a dangerously clingy prince, and somehow started living the Yandere fairy tale of a girl who once just wanted a When she woke up that morning to rose petals leading from her bed to the balcony, she was understandably suspicious. Too romantic. Too quiet. To Shin, she tiptoed toward the end of the floral trail, and there he was, Prince Shin, waiting like a lovesick assassin under a blooming cherry tree, smiling with the smug confidence of someone who knew she couldn't escape him. Again. For our 1-week anniversary, he said proudly, holding out a velvet box. Her heart fluttered. Maybe it was jewelry. Or hairpins. Or, is that a knife? Yes, he beamed. Hand-forged. Balanced perfectly for throwing or stabbing. Look at the craftsmanship. She blinked at the sparkling blade nestled in the box like a gemstone. Why a knife? so you can protect yourself when I'm not around." He took her hand and placed it in her palm like it was a love letter. "Or if anyone tries to talk to you, or look at you, or breathe near you." That's not how gifts work, Shin. Self-defense is romantic. She stared at the blade. It really was beautiful. The handle was carved with little cherry blossoms. There were even tiny hearts on the hilt. Hearts. On a weapon. You're unbelievable. He smiled sweetly. "You said you wanted to feel safe with love. What says safe better than a prince who gives you a murder tool? I don't know whether to kiss you or report you. I suggest the first." And then, oh heavens, he blushed. Her cold-blooded, overly possessive Yandere prince looked down, bashfully brushing imaginary dust off his robes. "I know I'm a lot," he muttered, "but you're the only one I'll ever love. So, if a knife helps you stay, then I'll give you 100 more." She rolled her eyes, but felt her heart melt a little. Just a little. "Fine," she said. "But next time, flowers. Normal ones. Without hidden blades inside." "No promises," he said, already planning which dagger bouquet to order. She sighed. Love was supposed to be soft and dreamy. Instead, she got a knife with hearts on it, and strangely, she kind of liked it. Chapter 9. It started with breakfast. ASN, her not getting any. She woke up, stretched, yawned, and immediately realized something was wrong. No maids. No Shin. No steaming congee with cute carved melon birds. Just silence. And a note on her pillow. "Don't panic. I'm borrowing you. Love, Shin, 2 hearts," she panicked. Before she could run, the doors burst open and bam, there he was. Prince Shin. Grinning like a man who had either won the lottery or lost all his sanity, possibly both. "Shin," she said slowly, "what do you mean by borrowing me?" He strode in, all silk robes and unearned confidence, and swept her into his arms like a Disney prince. If said prince had zero chill. "Today's a special day," he said, eyes sparkling. "Please tell me it doesn't involve knives again." No, he said, waving a hand. "It's better. We're getting married." She blinked. Excuse me, what?" "It's a surprise wedding. I planned everything. The priest is waiting. The guests are all handpicked, none of them eligible bachelors, of course, and I designed your dress myself." "You what? It has hidden pockets." "For your anniversary knife." "Shen." "I knew you'd be speechless," he said, swooning a little. "That's why I made sure the temple has fainting couches." "I am not fainting. I'm revolting. You can't just kidnap me into a wedding." He looked genuinely hurt. "But I got you those jasmine pastries you like. You think pastries cancel out bride napping?" "Yes." She sighed so hard, she may have temporarily created wind. "Shin, you can't just decide we're getting married today. We haven't even gone on a second date." He blinked. "We had tea. I fed you buns. I let you hold my knife. That was at least 5 dates." She opened her mouth to argue, paused, then muttered, "Okay, the knife was cute. But still." He cupped her face, his usual intense stare now softened with the tiniest hint of uncertainty. "I love you," he said simply. "You're the first thing I don't want to lose. Ever. I know I'm not normal, but I'll never hurt you. Just love you, protect you, and occasionally abduct you into very romantic ceremonies." She stared at him. This was insane. This was ridiculous. This was kind of flattering. "Fine," she said, poking his chest. "But next time, ask. With words. And maybe a schedule." He beamed. "So, I'll tell the priest to begin." She groaned. "Only if I get 3 pastries and a foot rub after." "Deal." And that's how she ended up being carried, again, into a wedding. By a prince. With snacks. Chapter 10. The wedding was dramatic. There were doves. Fireworks. A string quartet. A random old man crying in the front row, still unclear who invited him. Shin stood at the altar in embroidered robes, looking like a dream and a dangerous thought all at once. And she walked down the aisle in the puffiest, most elegant gown imaginable, complete with hidden weapon pockets and a 10-foot train that Shin insisted symbolized how long he'd follow her if she ever ran. romantic, creepy, still somehow adorable. The ceremony was a blur. She was 78% sure she said "I do" out of panic. But Shin's eyes were so full of love and obsession, but mostly love, that she couldn't help but smiled. By the time they reached the reception, she had eaten 5 pastries and downed 2 cups of sweet wine. Shin hadn't left her side once, glaring at anything with legs and politely threatening the cake cutter when he stood too close. Eventually, they ended up alone in their private chambers. She sat on the bed. He knelt before her, holding her hands like she was a fragile artifact, and he was a very intense museum guard. "I know I'm a lot," he whispered, "but you're everything to me. You saved me from a world where nothing mattered. You became my world." She blinked, caught off guard. "Shin, I don't know how to love the normal way, but I'll spend every day learning what you like. Even if it's not kidnapping you again. Even if it's waiting. Even if it's soft." She stared at him, heart flipping over like a pancake, because somewhere in between the dramatic entrances, possessive stares, and knife-themed gifts, she had fallen for him too. "Okay," she said softly. "Let's learn together." His eyes widened like she'd handed him the moon. Then he tackled her into a hug so tight she swore she heard her ribs whisper, "Worth it." "Wait," he said suddenly, pulling away. "I forgot your real gift." She groaned. "If it's another weapon," he pulled out a scroll. "I adopted 3 cats for you." She blinked. "Cats?" "Yes. So you won't feel lonely when I'm watching you sleep from the wardrobe." "You're joking." "Am I?" She laughed. Loudly. Freely. And for the first time, she realized maybe love didn't always come softly. Sometimes it came with swords, cats, and a very clingy husband. And weirdly, she wouldn't change a thing. Epilogue 3 months into married life. She had officially accepted 2 truths. 1. Shin would never be normal. Point 2. Normal was highly overrated anyway. Their palace had changed. Now there were kittens sleeping on royal scrolls, pastries stocked like precious gems, and weapons hidden in flower vases. Shin's idea of home security. The staff had gotten used to seeing their prince skipping through the halls whenever she called his name. It was both alarming and adorable. Point 1 morning, she woke up to find him perched at the foot of the bed, brushing her hair with intense concentration. His face lit up when her eyes opened. "Good morning, my moonbeam. I didn't stare at you while you slept today. I watched the cats instead." "Growth." She blinked. "That's progress." "I also didn't threaten the gardener when he smiled at your tulips." "You threatened him before?" "Semantics." She sighed, but she couldn't stop the smile tugging at her lips. Yandra or not, Shin had become sweet, still intense, still terrifying on Wednesdays. But he now asked before tackling people, didn't follow her into the bathroom, mostly, and learned to express his love in less stabby ways. Sometimes he still said things like, "If you ever leave me, I'll come with you." And once, "Let's be buried in the same coffin, so no one can separate us. Ever." But now she just patted his head and replied, "Only if you let me finish breakfast first." Their love story wasn't a fairy tale with dancing birds or sweeping orchestras. It was an accidental wedding, a gifted knife, a trio of spoiled cats, and a husband who once tried to trap her in a tower but now bought her strawberry buns every Tuesday. It was intense, chaotic, deeply weird, and somehow exactly what she always wanted. Love that didn't leave. That stayed even if it clung a little too hard. That adored her so loudly, she never had to wonder if she was wanted. So when Shin peeked at her over a tray of heart-shaped dumplings and whispered, "Will you still love me when I'm old and dramatic?" She smiled, kissed his forehead, and said, "Only if you still give me knives on our anniversary." And he beamed, because she got him, she chose him, and even if he was a little unhinged, he was hers, forever and ever and ever.